During the time of my first marriage, I went back to college. College was so hard for me that I took a weightlifting class and failed it because I didn't want to put muscle mass on. I signed up for the class at the time thinking, you know, I'll go pump iron, I'll get ripped, I'll do everything, send the testosterone just oozing through my body, and that would make me become a man. I knew that that wasn't going to happen, and after the first class, I just quit going. I didn't drop out of the class, I didn't do anything, I just quit going. So I failed weightlifting. But during that time, I did get to go back to my love of nature. Thank you, grandmother, for that. I got a degree. I actually finished college. Took me 9 years. Took me lots of delivering of pizzas to people's houses and lots of long nights, but I did it. I got my degree in forestry. Can't get much more manly than that. So from 1992 until 1995, I went to work for the state of Tennessee as an area forester. I threw myself into that job 100%. Wore the park ranger uniform, had the badge on, had the radio on the side, had the cool ranger hat. I was it. I was an area forester. I was a man. I was actually in charge of a state forest. I was also in charge of 3 counties worth of public land, and I was in charge of all the firefighters that we had that were there in those 3 counties. Because you see, in East Tennessee, a lot of times things happen that make people do unwise things. A lot of times in Tennessee, if you're mad at your neighbor and there's forest land, the way you get even with them, you just burn their land. We had lots of forest fires in those 3 counties, and I would always go out and fight forest fires. That's what it's like to be a man, I thought. Hoof it out into the middle of nowhere, get your rake and start digging trenches around a fire you'll never see. I was living in a small town, a town that I don't know what would have happened had they known the real Kelly Jenkins at that time. I remember going into that job, and one of the first things my secretary told me was, "You'll like it living here. There's only one black family in the entire community, and they live way up on the mountain away from each other. You'll never see them." Lord, if you can't accept a black person, how in the heck are you going to accept a transgendered woman? It doesn't matter if I'm white or not. It didn't matter that I was presenting as male. It didn't matter that I was burly at the time. There was female all over me. I couldn't hide it. You can't hide the real you. You just can't. You can pretend to hide the real you, and some people are good at it for a long, long time, but you can't hide the real you. After that job, I started getting jobs in environmental education camps. Another what I thought was a manly job. But what I didn't realize was that the hormones that I had taken back in '96 had done some permanent things to me. That it had softened my skin, that it actually gave me a little bit of breast, and it changed, I don't want to say aura, it changed the way I came across to people. And at an environmental education camps, working with children see things. And I would get children asking me, even when I was this burly, what I thought was burly man, they would ask me, "Are you a man or a woman?" I never would get to answer that question because one of my teammates, one of my coworkers, would always jump in and say, "Oh, he's a man. Just because he has earrings doesn't mean he's a woman." No, the kids saw the truth. They're good at that. They're good at seeing the truth. Transgendered kids, a lot of them know that they are transgendered. Listen to them. Other kids, they're battling with it. They don't know if they're gender fluid. They don't know if they're gender nonconforming. They don't know if they're gender neutral. They don't know, so they're searching. Parents, go on a search with those kids. Be a part of that journey. Don't pull yourself away from them and hope that by ignoring it, that your kid is going to discover the answer on their own. I did discover the answer on my own, but there's a lot of us that don't. The suicide attempt rate is staggering in the transgender community. Near as they can tell, over 40% of us attempt to commit suicide, attempt to kill ourselves. That's shameful. If any other part of the population of the world, if 40% of that population was trying to kill itself, action would be taken. Things would happen. But for some reason, in our society, it feels like that 40% suicide attempt rate is acceptable. It's not. That's why I'm sitting here now, to let you know that there are kids out there, there are adults out there that are struggling, not just with being transgender, just with being real, with finding who they are. And as a society, we're supposed to love people. We're supposed to help people discover who they are. We're supposed to want that from them, because when people become themselves, they become productive. And a lot of transgendered people are not productive members of society because a lot of times we're not accepted.